My wife pushed me to open our marriage and sleep with her coworker. She did and kept taking it too far, so I ended things. Look at my page for more of a background on my situation. To give everyone a quick background, I found my wife romantic texting a coworker. She ended up telling me that she wanted to meet with him and have romance. I agreed and even tried to accept it. They met up a few weekends ago, and then met up again this last weekend. I tried to like it, I tried to be happy for her, and I tried to make her happy. She just kept showing that she really didn't care for me. First of all, she would not let me set boundaries for them. I told them that I wasn't comfortable with things and that they needed to stop, or at least put a few boundaries in. She refused, saying that it wasn't for me to say what they can or can't do. This past weekend is what really did it in for me. She left Saturday morning without showing a care for me in the world. She made me take pictures of her to send to the guy before she left. She left without even giving me a kiss. At first she explained that she would be back that night. Nighttime came, and she was nowhere to be seen. The next morning she tells me that she decided to stay the night with him, without even asking or telling me first. That's not even the worst part. That night he invited over one of his friends and she messed around with both of them. She didn't even care to ask me about that first. When she arrived back at the house she told me all of this stuff. I started to get visibly upset. She laughed and said get over it, and that it's not manly. I couldn't put up with it anymore. She obviously no longer cared for me. No spouse would say anything like this to their partner if they actually cared for them. I was just shocked. At no point in our marriage, until the other week, did I notice any signs that she would be this way. She had always been the most loving, caring girl that I had ever met. It's like a flip switched when she met that guy and she changed into a different person. I didn't know one person could change someone that much, and that quickly. I'm 99% sure that she is going to end up dating this guy. She has spent the past few weekends together with him and even talks about him around me. The other night I told her that if she doesn't at least put in boundaries, that I will leave. She said okay, and laughed a lot. Without saying another word I packed up some bags and booked a room at the nearest hotel. I've told my brother about this situation, and he has offered for me to come stay with him for a little while. I ended up going to his place for the night. She sent me some texts that night, and the next day. She was acting upset and confused as to why I left, and she was saying that she missed me. The next day, I knew we needed to go back to my house, so that there wouldn't be as much of a chance that I would lose it. My brother went with me to help. When we got there my wife was trying to talk to me. I had nothing to say to her at the moment, so I just ignored her and tried to get past her. She was grabbing me and trying to hold me. My brother helped get her off of me and told her that he would call the cops if she didn't stop messing with me. She ended up leaving. I haven't heard from her since. This situation has destroyed me. I tried to let her do this to make her happy. I didn't want it in the first place, but I tried to make myself like it to please her. I never saw any signs or anything that she would be this pushy and this bad of a person before we got married. I don't know where any of this came from. She was the most amazing, thoughtful person ever. Now that this has happened, my whole outlook on life and relationships is different. So what advice would you guys give me? Whether it's next steps in dealing with my current wife, or in the future when I'm back in the dating game. How do I tell our families and friends? How do I speak to my wife about it? I'm having a really tough time handling all of this. Hey guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. It would really help me out. Thanks. I have no way to say this without coming across as mean, but ootfoff. She's cheating, and your response is to give your blessing. Forget the marriage, divorce, get some personal counseling. I understand how that can be seen as odd. At that point I just didn't want to lose her and was also just confused. I tried to go along with it for as long as I could. Your wife doesn't respect you and you can't trust someone who doesn't respect you. The marriage is over because the trust is gone, and you can't fix it. Talk to a lawyer. Get your finances in order and prepare to move on. Your wife will try to apologize and make promises that she doesn't intend to keep, but she's already shown you who she is and doesn't intend to actually change. Your wife knows what she did. You don't have to explain it to her. You can tell your friends and family that the relationship was fundamentally broken. If you don't want to get into more detail. Update: my 23 male wife, 25 female, pushed me to open our marriage and sleep with her coworker. She did and kept taking it too far, so I ended things. So I've posted many updates about this. I didn't originally plan on posting another update this soon, but I had several people reaching out to me and asking me what has happened since my last post, so I figured I'd let everyone know. I had left her last week and went to stay with my brother. After taking to him and reading several comments, I figured that it would be a good idea to try to go back to stay at my house, to try to make sure that I wouldn't lose it when we got divorced. The next day, I decided to go back there. My brother was going with me too. When we got there, my wife was trying to talk to me and grab me. I ignored her the whole time and pretty much acted like she didn't exist. She got pretty rough. I finally pushed away. My brother told her that if she doesn't leave me alone that he would call the cops. She finally left after that. I didn't hear from her the rest of that night. The next day, I did receive a picture of her and the coworker. It was a normal selfie of them together. There was no text with it. I showed it to my brother, and he said that she must be sick in the head to do that. I finally met up with a divorce attorney for an initial meeting and consultation. It went well, and he told me things that I needed to know in preparation for the divorce. He said that the pictures and videos I have of them will be helpful evidence. The only problem with the situation is that she can prove that I agreed to everything, even though there was pushiness involved. My brother and I went over to my parents to sit down and talk with them about what is going on. They were shocked to hear this about her and almost didn't believe it at first. My brother had my back and confirmed with them that everything I said was true. They wanted to talk to her, but I told them not to. The next step was telling her parents. I debated about this for a while as I did not know if it was my place to do so. After a while I finally decided that it would be best to. I know that if I didn't tell them first, she would probably tell them awful lies about me. I set up a time to meet them at their place. I went over alone. After a while of just sitting there and having small talk, I finally built up the courage to tell them what was going on. The looks on their faces were unbelievable. They looked disgusted. They had never seen this side of their daughter. I was surprised that they didn't put any of the blame on me. They understood that I loved her and wanted to do whatever I could to make her happy. They even hugged me before I left. We were all in tears. They knew divorcing her was the last thing that I wanted to do, but understood that I had to at this point. This weekend I spent most of my time talking to my attorney and chilling with my brother at the house. Saturday night came, and I received a text from my wife stating that she was coming over. I texted her back and told her that she wasn't welcome here right now. She didn't listen, and about 20 minutes later she showed up. I felt like I didn't really have a choice at this point but to talk to her. She started off by saying that she had been taken to her parents, and they were very angry with her, and that they mentioned us getting a divorce. I was hoping that they wouldn't tell her that, as I had not even broke the news of that to her yet. I wasn't even planning on telling her in person. I had planned for it to all be through the lawyer. She told me that what I did was childish, and that I must not be a real man because I talked to her parents before her. I told her that I didn't feel comfortable talking to her anymore as she had pushed me so much already, and that I talked to her parents first because I knew if I didn't that she would lie to them and accuse everything on me. She then kept asking me if it was true that I was really filing for a divorce. I confirmed that I was. She started sobbing uncontrollably and didn't really say anything for a good 15 minutes. She finally stopped and was asking me why I was doing this and why I didn't give her a heads up. I explained that throughout all of this she has been super pushy and has treated me like I don't exist. I have been so humiliated by her and the coworker. She promised that she would stop if I took her back. I told her that I couldn't. She finally left after that. The next morning I wake up to a lot of texts and missed calls from her. They are mostly long messages and voicemails of her apologizing and explaining how much she loves me. It really hurt to listen to them because I was reminded of our past and how much I loved her. I was crying like crazy at this point, and it took everything in me not to respond back to her. I just kept reminding myself what she has done to me the last few weeks. Since she left that night, I've gotten many texts from her friends telling me that I need to take her back. They were cussing me out and telling me how wrong it was of me to go to her parents. They said that now they are the only people she has. This has all been so crazy. I can't believe how emotional the past few days have been. I can't believe that even her parents are on my side. I do feel bad for telling them first and making them turn on her, but I'm glad they are on my side. Her friends continue to attack me and send threats. I have not heard from my wife ever since she sent the long texts and messages. I'm guessing that she is either staying with the coworker or her friends, as her parents are against her at the moment. I'm surprised I was able to stand up this strongly against her. I hope to continue to be able to do so. I think that this weekend was big for me. It showed me that I do have the strength to stand up to her and leave her. Thanks everyone for your concern and all of the kind messages. I will do my best to try and still update everyone on anything major that happened. Finally, man. Been reading the saga for a while. What she did is unforgivable and beyond the normal evil cheaters do. She is probably sobering up to the reality she is a boss and that she is losing a great guy just for her stupid fantasies. Good for you, man. This woman would have ruined you in the long run. Divorce and no contact. Brother, work on healing yourself and becoming a stronger person. You don't need a man or woman to be happy. That's not their purpose. They are only there to support the love for yourself and want the best for you. Remember that if you start dating again. Me, 29 male, with my wife, 25 female. 5 years together, 3 years married. She just called me to tell me she cheated on me Saturday night while out of town on work. Too long didn't read, My wife cheated, and I am a little lost. I could use some advice. Hello. My wife just called me about 3 hours ago and told me that she cheated on me this past Saturday. Let me give you a bit of backstory. My wife suffers from some undiagnosed mental issues, mostly panic attacks, anxiety, some form of sadness, mostly just self-hatred. She sometimes breaks down. I've always been there to support her, and we've always gotten through it. A few months ago, she accepted the same job as me and went to a different state for training that normally lasts approximately for months. As of this weekend, she is 2 weeks away from finishing training and then coming home. On Friday, she messaged me telling me that she was having a bad mental weekend and wanted to cut out everything for the weekend. She deactivated her Facebook account, and we went from messaging all the time to barely messaging at all, or some short responses. It's not out of the ordinary for her to have bad days, though I've never seen her be this bad. She told me was wanted to hole herself up in her room and just not leave and be left alone. I tried to respect that decision, but I did send her a bunch of pictures of our animals as a way to try and make her feel better. We have 4 cats and 2 dogs. Saturday, we were talking every once in a while, but not really a conversation, mostly just a sentence or to here or there every couple hours. I ended up getting a Snapchat from her in the evening showing her in the hallway with some of her training friends, both male and female, drinking together. I was kind of hurt that she was feeling well enough to go out. Well, stay in I guess, with friends, but not enough to talk to me. I feel like even though we have had arguments before, we never stopped talking like this before. I ended up not talking to her for most of Saturday night. Sunday was much of the same. Barely talking, and that was that. All of Sunday, I had a huge pit in my stomach, fearing the worst. I called her after her classes and asked her if we were okay, to which she responded yes, and that she loved me. Then, an hour after that phone call, she called me back to tell me that I'd gotten incredibly silly Saturday night and slept with one of her classmates. She claimed that they had both gotten completely silly. Several of the other classmates were vomiting from drinking too much, and that's how she ended up going to his room that night. She also claimed that after she sobered up a bit, she went to another one of her female friends' rooms and stayed up crying until 3 a.m. I feel like I have identified to issues related to this problem. 1. Drinking. I have told her before that I think she drinks too much, and that she needed to cool her jets. She has told me a few times before that she agreed with me, but it never really completely stopped. 2. Mental issues related to anxiety, self-hate, which also includes the feeling of being unloved. I have told her, for the time being, that 1. She needs to stop drinking altogether. 2. She needs to get serious help for her mental issues. And 3. We need to go to couples counseling once she gets back. I feel bad forcing her to go see a therapist, since I feel like seeing a therapist only works if you want it to work, but I don't know what else to do. I don't feel bad telling her no more drinking. I do believe in the love languages. I always said my love language was through physical things, hugs, kisses, presents, and romance. Her love language has always been through acts, like doing chores, etc. Things that don't cost money basically. I am certainly not perfect, and don't pretend to be. I am incredibly lazy, so most of the time, I don't do house chores on time, or at all, and will mostly forget to do things unless it's something I really want done. She hates spending money on things, and has always had an incredibly low romance drive. I feel like she doesn't understand my language, and I don't speak her language. Also, the fact she has always had a low romance drive was never an issue for me. I understand that romance isn't the only thing in the relationship, but the fact that she went and had romance with another person despite that just makes it feel 10 million times worse. I am basically asking for advice or help and kind of venting to strangers on the internet because I can't really talk to any of my friends or family about this. If we do end up working things out, I don't want them to look at her through colored lenses. I am not here to make her out to be the devil. She is an amazing woman who has done something so terrible to me. I don't know what to do anymore. She has mental health issues and an alcohol problem, and doesn't want to hang out with you or have romance with you, and doesn't want to go to therapy or try to change anything. What do you get out of this? She does want to hang out. We cuddle, we do everything normally. She just has a lower romance drive, always has. She has admitted previously that she needs to stop drinking or get some help, but she feels therapists will sit there and judge her instead of help her, which is a serious issue. Dude, she told you to stop talking to her so she can cheat in peace. She's really playing off of your view of her as some poor, mentally helpless thing who freezes up. People don't really cheat on accident. And she lied to you during the first phone call. I wish people would stop blaming alcohol for their bad romance decisions. It's just so tired and played out. She very well might have a drinking problem, but she also planned cheating on you. That's likely why she wanted to cut you off days in advance. since you self-describe as incredibly lazy. I'm not sure if advice that recommends a path forward that takes energy is the right approach here. Unfortunately, literally all of my ideas require you putting energy into things. I would demand separation for at least a month, but that requires maintaining a house by yourself, taking care of pets, all that. Couples counseling should be down the road a bit. She needs to work on herself first while separated. Unfortunately, it sounds like if you went down this road, she'd likely sleep around to fill the void. Gosh, I exhausted myself just thinking about this. I think your issues are above our pay grade. Sorry, man. I might be over-exaggerating my laziness. I maintain the house and all the pets right now. She has been gone for the last 2 months and was gone for 2 months a while back. The house was clean, the pets all alive, nothing on fire. I am not afraid to put in effort, especially when it's needed, even if I don't want to. I just generally don't put in as much effort for things I don't want to do if someone else is there to pick up the slack. That's what really upsets her the most, I believe. She knows I can do the cleaning. I just put it off until later, and she ends up doing it first. You are not lost but more in denial. Let me ask you this. When she has these breakdowns with you, does she get silly and have romance with you? Maybe I misunderstood you, but didn't you claim when she has these breakdowns with you she speaks a different language which does not include romance with you, but feelings of hate and anger? She got silly to remove any inhibitions holding her back to cheat. Courage in a bottle. Courage to set aside her morals to cheat. These were no accidents, but plans, including cutting off communications with you before she got silly. I think it's time for you to go speak some divorce lawyer language.